And Julie Beatty is also a teacher at Chillicothe Intermediate School. She teaches math. And then Lisa Clark, she's up for the renewal this year. So those are our master teachers. If we could recognize them again for all their Don't worry. Got it. We're back. All right. Thank you very much, ladies. And I asked Mr. Tripp if he would recognize the spelling bee winner since they're out of his building.
We had our spelling bee at CIS one day last week. I don't remember exactly which day. And at the conclusion, every year, we always have 3 winners from each grade, 4, 5, and 6. And then we also have a spell off for the building-wide winners. So not everybody's here, but their work certainly deserves recognition. So I'm going to read all the names. And then if you hear your name, please come up. So 4th grade, 3rd place, Aubrey Iyer. 2nd place, Malin Axline. And 1st place, Miss Abby Parent. 5th grade, 3rd place, Noah Holton. 2nd place, Adeline Miller. And 1st place, William Lawson. 6th grade, Katie McAllister. 2nd grade, Sana O'Hara. And first place, Bella Parks. And our building-wide winners are, I think they're all here behind me. 3rd grade, Mr. William Lawson. Or 3rd, I keep saying grade, don't I? Nobody corrected me either. 3rd place, William Lawson. 2nd place, Sonnet O'Hara. And 1st place, what's really cool about this, there's a couple things that's cool, but she is not only our spelling bee winner, but she is also our very first ever student council president at CIS, Miss Bella Parks. What was the winning word? Cocoon?
Yeah.
Cocoon.
I watched you guys on YouTube. It was very interesting. You were all very calm and confident and did a great job.
Your name's on it now?
No.
Turn. Face Miss Colter there. I didn't feel like.
No, I didn't. You didn't have to go that far. All right. Got it. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. Good job, guys. Good job.
Mm-hmm. I did want to say congratulations to our master teachers too. You guys have gone above and beyond to ensure a positive learning experience for each student. And we appreciate the extra work that you put into this, and thank you for doing so. Okay, next is public participation. Welcome to visitors to this and all board meetings. The board desires citizens of the district to attend its meetings so that they become better acquainted with the operations and programs of the schools, and so that the board may have an opportunity to hear the wishes and ideas of the public. All meetings of the board are open to the public and the media. And we do have some participants this evening, so just wanted to review, do a few housekeeping items. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. No person may address or question board members individually. Limit remarks to 3 minutes, no more than 3 speakers per topic. Public participation portion of the meeting is limited to 30 minutes. And the purpose of the public participation portion of the meeting is for members of the public to express viewpoints and public concerns. It is not intended to be a forum of discussion with the Board of Education, and a written response to public participation will be provided by the board within 10 business days. Mr. Porter is going to do the timing, and Deb will call up our participants.
Okay, the first one is Bruce Kaplinger. He's going to talk about the Neil Johnston statue and scholarship.
You can turn that timer off. I'm on the clock. I'm working. I'm not going to be long. I've got 2 patients out of Dina waiting for me right now to pick them up, so I got to run. So I'll be as short as I can. First of all, I just want to thank everybody that donated to the Neil Johnston statue and gardens. It turned out great. Chillicothe High School now, as I talked to Brian Hanlon today that made the statue, is one of only a handful of high schools in the United States that have a statue on their campus. So that's something to be thankful for and proud of as well. I just want to thank everybody, the committee, everybody that donated, the school board donated, everybody. When I came to the first meeting, I said if we had money left over, we'd create a Neil Johnston Scholarship Fund. Well, I'm very thankful and happy to also announce that we will be giving away $2,500 to Chillicothe High School students, 1 male, 1 female. So right now we have $1,250 that we could get. We're still taking donations. So if you donate that money before the senior banquet, award banquet, we can give that out. Perhaps we could give to more students, or maybe we could give more to the 2. But it's going to be to 2 students. My committee agreed to that. And initially they said they'd like to keep it in Ross County, and it would be for any male or female attending OUC Chillicothe. So we'll go over that before the banquet. And also too, as Aaron and I were coached by Coach Cuppett, I'm here to talk about that real quick. About 2 weeks after Coach Cuppett passed away, Brad Basil called me up and said, Bruce, we ought to name the court Tom Cuppett Court. And I agreed, but I was so busy with the statue, I didn't have time to come in and make that recommendation. And since that time, a plethora of people have contacted me. Aaron has talked about it. He sent letters, emails out. And if you know anything about Coach Cuppett, he's the biggest legend in basketball that we've had here. To play on that 1981 team and go undefeated with Aaron and the rest of the teammates, we were just like family. And to this day, our record of 22 wins in a row still stands. So I too, on behalf of all the former players, Brad Basil, the Coach Cuppett's fans, Coach Cuppett's friends, and also Coach Cuppett's family, I hope you guys consider naming the court Tom Cuppett Court. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Okay, you ready? Garen Varus, he would like to talk about naming of Coach Cuppett for the main gym floor. Hi.
Do I need to keep my mask on?
You can take it off.
That's policy.
You can take it off. You can take it off.
All right. Is this on or I just speak?
I don't think it's on.
I'll just speak. My name is Garen Barris, as said, and I'm a proud graduate of Chillicothe High School, class of 1981. I'm here today to make a personal request to Chillicothe City Schools Board of Education to have Coach Thomas Cuppett's name placed permanently on the main floor of Hatton Memorial Gymnasium. Coach Cuppett, first of all, let me start by saying that Coach Cuppett was the very best coach I've ever had in my life. From Stanford University to New England Patriots to San Francisco 49ers, the best coach I've ever had in my life. I know coaching. I grew up on Vine Street, just a few blocks from here, and watched the Chillicothe Cavaliers basketball games on Chillicothe cable television. Anybody remember cable television? Black and white. I was enamored by the excitement that Coach Cuppett and the Cavalier players generated each Friday night. Watching Mark Bayless, James Gauze, Michael Farrell, Freddie Farrell, Carl Hitchens, and so many others. When I was old enough to go to the games at Hatton Memorial Gymnasium, my mind was blown because I wanted to be like them. I wanted to be part of that excitement. From the red, white, and blue design of the uniforms, the infamous circle drill, the cheerleaders, and loud support of the crowds, people continuously jammed their way into the gym to watch great basketball. I'm proud to say I was there to be part of it. It was this way for all the years that Coach Cuppett was in charge. There was nothing like it, and I don't think there ever will be again. Why I say that Coach Cuppett was the very best coach I had. He taught like a college coach. As I walked into the locker room for the very first time my sophomore year, my first year under Coach Cuppett, it was hard to believe I had actually made it. On my locker was a picture of an outstanding basketball player. Each team member had a picture on their locker, and it came with a quote from Coach Cuppett as to what the picture depicted. For example, I remember having a picture of Moses Malone, who played for the Houston Rockets at the time. The quote was, "Recognizing shot angles and positioning for rebounds is the key to being a great rebounder." Each player had these quotes to hammer into their heads what our key role was within the team concept. Every day you saw that picture and that quote, and it was part of why each member understood the roles, teamwork, and leadership. We sat in perfectly placed chairs in front of Coach Cuppett's podium, chalkboard, and film screen. We were each given a tablet to record each game's game plans. I wish I had kept that scouting report book for each year. It would make any college basketball program proud the way we prepared for each opponent. When we hit that floor, we were always prepared. There was not going to be anyone who was going to be more prepared than we were. When the citizens of Chillicothe came to Chillicothe Cavalier basketball games, they knew they were going to get exciting and disciplined basketball. All the teams who came in that gymnasium knew they were going to have to play their very best game to beat the Cavaliers. In my 3 years on the court, I think we lost 2 games, both to Groveport High School. I don't like Groveport. I think we lost both those games by 3 points.
Oh, geez.
When an opponent came into the gym, not only would they have to play the best game of their lives to beat the Cavaliers, they would have to get over the shock of watching the Cavaliers go through the circle drill. Anybody remember the circle drill? Sure, a few we do. Our warm-up before each home game was a unique warm-up that there ever has been. I won't go into the dynamics of this pregame ritual, but those who watched it and were part of it know what something like this would do to the psyche of opponents before the game even began. This was the beauty of Tom Cuppett and his use of psychological advantages. He would work the officials. He would work anyone who would give his team an advantage, a beautifully orchestrated work of art. He treated our basketball Cavalier cheerleaders as part of the basketball family. They surely did their part in keeping the crowds in a frenzy during the game. In our pregame warmups, they participated with us and I know how they enjoy being part of such great theater and atmosphere. They worked as much as an athlete as the players on the court because they worked just as hard on the court as we did.
Your 3 minutes is up, Mr. Barris.
I'm gonna continue on if you give me a few more minutes. I want to make sure that everybody understands about Tom Cuppett. A former player sent me this in an email. This is why Coach Cuppett meant a lot to so many players. This is the guy who was a player. My high school basketball coach was a winner and a great teacher. I remember Coach Cuppett yelling at me a lot. It seemed I could never do anything right. We would run a play and the whistle would blow. "Smith, what are you doing?" Then he would grab me and the other forwards and walk us through what was supposed to happen. After my senior year, Coach Cuppett called me into his office. I have to let, and this is Coach Cuppet talking, I have to let you in on something. Remember how I always yelled at you and walked you through the plays, he asked? The player responded with a smile. Pretty hard to forget that, don't you? Can't you, pretty hard to forget that you can't do anything right. The truth is that most of the time it was Jimmy, not his real name, who messed up and not you. He couldn't take the criticism and you could. So I yelled at you and then I grabbed him and walked him through the plays with you so he would learn without losing his confidence. It would have been nice to know why I was a target so often, the player said. I couldn't tell you at the time, Coach Cuppet said, but I trusted you to keep going. And you did. Your ability to handle adversity made him and our team better. The lesson never left. I trusted a good coach and accepted what I had to endure to achieve our goal of winning. Later, I found out that I had gained honor in his eyes by trusting him, even when things didn't seem fair. I'll leave it with this. This is who Coach Cuppet was. He was a philosopher. He was a teacher. He was a leader. He was a winner. But most of all, he was my friend, and I loved him. There is no one who put time, effort, enthusiasm, and pride in Chillicothe Cavalier basketball program like Tom Cuppet. This is my opinion. His record at Chillicothe High School speaks for itself. I know there are other coaches or administrators who should get their consideration of having honor, having their name forever blazoned on the Hatton Memorial Gymnasium floor. But with all the things that Coach Cuppet did and meant to the city of Chillicothe school system, his name rises to the top. I could go on and on about the stories, but I'll leave it there. And I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You ready?
Yes.
Nancy McNeely, and she would like to talk about the new contracts for superintendent and treasurer.
I got information today that I had requested several days before, so I didn't have a lot of time to review it. But in the last meeting, it was discussed about a savings of $700,000 by rehiring our current treasurer and superintendent. And I thought that was a pretty big number. I couldn't understand it. But in review, it had on there the $400,000 was because the current superintendent is over special ed. And I thought about it and I thought, something's had to get shortchanged here. Special ed is a big project. I worked for the school system and was the secretary to the curriculum director and the special services director. And I know the time that they had to put into their job, being over those two programs. And I question, how could somebody be a superintendent and being over special ed? I know that somebody has to be picking up these duties. And so I want to make sure that it's transparent that a large part of that figure that they say they're saving is reflected by the superintendent doing the duties of special education director. I also asked for copies of administrative staff and all positions that have been added, and I didn't get those figures. I know there's been a lot added to administration, and I was wondering why one of those positions couldn't have been the person that is over special ed. I know those duties can't be neglected completely. So I think that $400,000 in particular, it's a misrepresentation of what they say they're saving. The other question is that there was a meeting in December, and now this is the way I understand it, a meeting in December to discuss the contracts for the rehire of the superintendent and the treasurer. And I don't know if they have officially resigned or not, but there was something signed off in December, and then they had a meeting in January. I think it was the 4th, if I'm not mistaken. And there was discussion about those contracts because they were supposed to have a public hearing. But if it was pretty much decided that that's what they were going to do and there was something signed in December, they didn't actually have a public meeting. Okay, so I question that. Then in my discussion today, with one of the board members, it was like, okay, there's supposed to be the two people in question, the treasurer and the superintendent, officially retire the 1st of February. Then they are rehired the 2nd of February, but the contracts for their rehire are not finalized to the 3rd. I don't understand that. How can they be rehired if you haven't gone through the process for approving contracts until January or February 3rd? So it's after that. I just think that they really need to take the time to really look at this. We've had a lot of disciplinary problems in the schools. Testing the test scores are down.
Mrs. McNeely, your time is up.
Pardon me?
Your time is up.
Other people were allowed. I just want 1 minute.
I just gave you 4. Okay.
I'm requesting 1 minute. So I think it would be so much better for us to look at possibly new direction. And I don't think they should be so quick to do a rehire. And why do a rehire? They are currently under contract. They have a contract. So what's the premise behind, and by the way, this was brought up by the superintendent and the treasurer. They're the ones that approached the board. The board did not approach them. They approached the board. So in essence, they were negotiating for themselves. And I can see the benefit to them because they'll not only get their retirement, but they'll get their salary. So I think that the board really needs to look at things and see what direction you really want to take. And right now, there's been a lot of issues, especially with discipline. And like I said, I could not get the figures and the people and administrators that have been hired. Okay? So
Thank you, Mrs. McNeely.
I would respectfully ask the board to take this under consideration and for the public to come forward and really look at it and ask some questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
It's-
sorry, those were supposed to be in before the meeting started, but go ahead.
Okay. Oh my gosh, what's her first name?
Jean Kearney.
Jean Kearney. Can you come on out? Oh geez. I'm sorry, guys. Need my glasses. What is driving the decrease in students to the test and achievement scores?
The first question that I have is what is driving the decrease in student enrollment?
Oh, I'm sorry.
What is driving that?
I see it now. I'm sorry.
Okay, the second question is, what has been our achievement over the last 5 years? I'm not here to criticize. I'm here to say thank you to the teachers and to the staff, because I know this is a hard job. Teaching is a hard job. But we have 2,700 students in this school district, and we do have problems. And these problems do not seem to be addressed publicly or in a way that will help not only students, but teachers. When you look at your achievement scores over the last 5 years, how much improvement have we made? Where are we moving with achievement? We cannot buy our way out of it. We cannot increase our way out of it. We need to have leadership for this school district that is willing to do the necessary hard work. This is not about poor children. This is not about environment. This is a public school system. Therefore, we have to take every kid who comes. I can't choose who I'm going to teach, but I can choose what I'm going to do as a teacher. And I can choose in terms of what the leadership is going to do. I have no problem with any of the administrators, but I have problems with what is happening to the children of this community. Not just poor children, not the children that's underachieving, but children who are achieving, gifted children. Are they receiving what their needs are? Our superintendent has been here approximately 23 years. Not as a superintendent, but in this district. Could you tell us how long you've been here?
18.
18 years, sorry, 18 years. From a special education administrator as she came into the district, to a curriculum director as she moved with that position to superintendent. 18 years with instruction, pupil personnel / special education. What are the achievements that we have made? I would feel wonderful saying, let's give a person 3 more years of extra reward or contract where she can get her retirement plus a big salary. If the work was being done, and I'm not saying that she's not working. What I'm saying is whatever has been done is not working. Whatever is being done is not working. Our test scores are not going up. Our student climate within the building is not what it should be. And we know that.
Dr. Cooney, your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you. Student liaison report.
Wait a minute, we have one more.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
I'm
we got
sorry.
one more. Jeff Hartmus, and it just says focus.
Good evening. I'm Jeff Purpose, as you know. First, Mrs. Swinehart, Mrs. Lowell, board, thank you for everything that you do. Debbie and Debbie, I know you guys do a phenomenal job. I know our administrators do a phenomenal job. I know our teachers do a phenomenal job. What I want to speak out about tonight is focus. And I mentioned this, I believe, in November to most of you. Mr. Kelly, you kind of missed that, I think, but focus. As a district, what do we need to focus on? We need to focus on our successes, not noise. What is noise? Sometimes noise is somebody that's talking about something that's been going on in the nation for a year or more. Sometimes it's somebody talking about something they really don't have a grasp about, but they want to talk about it. That's noise. We need to focus on our successes. We put in place a plan for the retire, rehire. I strongly support that. I ask that you guys continue to support that. It is a huge savings of money to the district. I know, Mrs. Swinehart, you have been here a while. And the things you've accomplished in that amount of time have gone unnoticed by a lot of folks, but they have been noticed. Please continue to do what you're doing in this district. Board, continue to look at the successes and not the noises. Noise is report cards. That's a noise. The state can't get it right. That's why they keep changing it. If they had it right, they wouldn't change it, but they change it anyway. If you read any report about education in the United States right now, you're going to find that the entire nation is in a disruptive pattern because of COVID and all the other things that are going on in it. Things this district is doing are the right things. Stay on the path that you're on, continue the hard work you're doing, and we will succeed. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Harmis.
And I just broke your microphone.
Thank you. All right, Emma, student liaison report, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As my time with the board comes to a close, I look back to everything that I have done since I started in this position a year ago. I look back on all the experiences I've had, like going to the elementary schools and talking to the kids about what they are learning and the cool and fun things that are happening over there, making me want to go back to elementary. I've also learned about what is happening in the middle school, which I would have never learned without this position. Holding this position has opened my eyes to see what our school board actually does. It also let me bring the student aspect of what they think of the district. So for this presentation to the board, I just wanted to mention some high school sports and some things that are going on in the high school. Boys basketball record is 5-7 with a 3-3 in the FAC, and the gym is starting to be more filled by fans supporting them. Girls basketball record is 7-8 with a 5-2 record in the league, with a first place tie as of right now with Jackson. Senior night is this Thursday against Hillsborough, and this Saturday both teams face off Jackson this Saturday. Girls bowling is led by senior Madison Gilbert with a 253 and 268 game to make a 521 series. The girls also have an overall series for 944. The wrestling team is 1-2 for duels with 2 more meets left in this season. The swim teams continue to compete at various swim meets, and I wasn't able to find anything on the boys bowling team. Also this week in the 712 building, the kids with good behavior over the last semester are being treated with a snow tubing trip. On Tuesday, freshmen and sophomores will be going. On Wednesday, 7th and 8th graders will be going. And on Thursday, seniors and juniors will be going. Kids have been looking forward to this since last year and are excited that it is finally happening. Thank you.
Emma, thanks for an outstanding year. And we appreciate you letting us see what's going on in the district through the students' eyes. It's been very enlightening. Thank you. You did an excellent job. Legislative update. Do you have anything, Kelly?
Yes, Mrs. Swinehart, she shared some of the ongoing legislative business here in the state of Ohio. I don't have an update for tonight's meeting, but I think as we start looking at what's going on at the legislative level in Ohio, I asked the board that we start thinking how we're going to respond or how we're going to make those connections with our local Ohio senators and Ohio House representatives. It's very important that we have a voice in the legislative process. And, I think it's something we're going to have to find the time to do. But also, it's very helpful that we're getting informed by our superintendent on what's going on. There's a lot going on right now at the legislative level, which, I've only been looking at this over the last month so far. So I hope over the next year or so that we really start looking at what's going on at the state level and trying to find that voice and making those connections to who we need to voice our opinions and try to leverage for things that are best for our district. And that's kind of the idea of the legislative update, is to not only keep an eye on what's going on, but how can we make those changes by being a voice locally and how these are going to affect our community. So no update tonight, but I think that's kind of the goal of this year, is to start looking at those items and see how we can respond.
Thank you very much. We'll look forward to that. treasury reports, Deb Lowell.
Yeah, I need to approve A through D, but I wanted to also just make sure that February 3rd at 8 o'clock is okay to set up for a special board meeting. Is that good with everybody?
I'm okay with that. You guys both good with
Good.
that?
Everybody's good? Okay. I guess I'd like to ask the board to approve A through D, please.
Is there a motion to accept the treasurer's recommendations?
I'll motion.
Mr. Porter, is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Bonner, any discussion? Roll, please.
Mrs. Corzine?
Yes.
Mr. Porter?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Bonner?
Yes.
Mr. Dennis?
Yes.
Superintendent recommendations,
I'd
Debbie?
like to recommend A through D and also recognize on here that Mark Roush, he's the Chillicothe High School, one of the guidance counselors. And he's retiring at the end of the year and he's been with the district for 26 years. So we appreciate all that he's done and wish him well in his retirement.
Yep, we'll miss him. I wonder how many senior classes he's had.
Matt Valentine, you know that answer.
How many senior classes has Mr. Roush taken through?
I would say 7 based on that number. It's usually every 4 years.
Yeah.
Or every 3 years. So no, it's probably more like 8. 8 or so. Yeah.
And also one of the recommendations on here, Victoria Park for an aide at Chillicothe Intermediate School. She's here. If she'd like to stand up, there she is.
Oh.
She's
Welcome.
coming to us from Pioneer School.
Okay, well, welcome. Thanks for being here tonight. Is there a motion to accept the superintendent's recommendations?
So moved.
Mr. Kelly, is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Porter, any discussion? Roll, please.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Porter?
Yes.
Mr. Bonner?
Yes.
Mr. Corzine? Mrs. Corzine?
Yes.
Sorry. And Mr. Dennis?
I'm going to abstain from voting on.
Okay.
Okay, next is informational and discussion items. As you heard with Mr. Veras and Mr. Kaplinger talking about naming the gymnasium floor, would like to just briefly discuss with the board how we want to proceed with that. We've also gotten an email from Steve Hummel making some other suggestions also. My suggestion is that we ask our superintendent to form a committee to talk about these options and, see what comes out of that. It could be anything from, no change to some kind of name or a name. So if you're all okay with that, I think that would be the direction that we would ask Debbie to go.
You have a timeline you're thinking that you'd like to have this decided?
That's a good question.
We don't need to rush this.
No, it doesn't need to be rushed. I'd say if we could go ahead and form the committee and let them have a couple meetings, I don't know, maybe check in at the end of the school year and see where we are with that.
Okay.
Could go quicker, but
Yeah.
Okay.
But like you said, there's no big rush. So we give them time to think about that and make their recommendations. And Debbie, I might recommend that those who've made the requests and like Mr. Veras and Mr. Kaplinger and Mr. Hummel, that they be asked to be on that committee.
Okay. I think I had an email from somebody else. I'll get with you on that if you want to include them as well. I haven't read it yet, though.
Okay. All right, anything further on that? Okay, board member comments, anybody have anything?
Yeah, thank you, Liz. I'll just, we'll make some quick comments here. First of all, with everything that Mr. Vera said, I think everyone knows here, and probably many people will say that, I talk about Tom Cuppett in such a great way that it's just nauseating. People get tired of hearing me talk about Mr. Cuppett, and he is unique in what he brought to Chillicothe. And I could almost echo everything Garen said. Not that about the Patriots or the 49ers, but Mr. Cuppett was, unbelievably prepared, unbelievably organized, was never outworked, and everything certainly Garen said was more than true. As all of us, we've had a lot of people have talked about other names, and something to think about. And it's hard even for me, and everyone, like I say, I'm pretty much on the record of saying how much I think of Mr. Cuppett. It's hard for me to really single someone out when there are so many outstanding individuals that we've had here in the past. And like I say, Mr. Cuppett is unique, certainly, in his achievements and what he accomplished. But still, to single him out over some really outstanding people is really making a big step, in my opinion. Not saying that I, down the road might not support it, but it is a big, big step. And I certainly thank everyone that come and talk tonight. Great points. We appreciate all that you're saying, and it'll help our school district. So thank you for coming, and thank you for your input. And we'll try to make sure we make this the best school district we can.
And I had a couple of board policies printed for each of you. One of them's on renaming facilities, and another is board staff communications. So if you would read both of those, please, and update yourselves on those policies. I think that would be good for this time. Anybody else have anything?
Thank you for all who came and spoke tonight. We do value your comments and your opinions. I'm a younger person on the board. Mr. Veras, I remember you when I was a child. I was one of the young boys that grew up on Vine Street. Just thank you for being a role model for many of us here in Chillicothe as young student athletes. Just thank you. But also, I think it's appropriate that we put together a team or a committee to, focus on how we can recognize some of our past leaders. And I think it's a very good idea that we're gonna put this team together and really narrow down on honoring those that have served well in the past. So I'm excited to hear what comes from that.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Bonner, is there a second?
I will second.
Mr. Porter, all in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.
5:48.
5:48.